Hello, guys. Welcome back. So, someone had asked me a good question. They asked me if you work with Loki, do you have to work with the rest of the Norse pantheon? Short answer is no, but the longer answer is more complicated. Depends who you ask. If you ask a heathen, Northern Azatru, well, Azatru or Northern Wiccan, of course you have to work with all of them, and they are purist and they stick with the pantheon. It's going to be up to you, kind of, and be up to Loki mostly. And usually a lot of people do just work with Loki. Some people don't even work with him that often. I don't recommend Loki for everyone, and that has pissed a lot of people off over the years. But he's very high maintenance. At times he can be very challenging, and he can change his wants and needs and desires in the middle of a sentence, and good luck keeping up. He's usually not all of that and a bag of chips, but often he is. And he will decide you're working with this god, then you're not. The house is open, then it's not. And it can be a challenge to work with Loki, even if you're just working with Loki exclusive, it can be a challenge. And with me, Thor had been trying to contact her family for a long time, for decades. Like, he tried to contact my brother first. So, Thor naturally ended up working with me. And I ended up working with Thor. And then Odin came into my life. And Odin is very complex, and he's very complicated. And if you think having one chaos trickster deity in your life is enough, have two, because Odin does have chaotic elements to him. He definitely is a trickster deity. Having two of them is a lot. A lot of a lot of a lot of a lot, because the rules and I swear your reality change every 5 minutes. And what seems like reality today is not reality 5 minutes later. It's not chaos and terror and everything. Usually it's pretty relaxed and normal. You'll notice it if you start to bump up against the edges what the gentlemen think is permissible. And like today was a good example. I had been, decided I wanted Odin to stay. We had been rebuilding our relationship last night. You guys know I have chronic health issues. I woke up feeling terrible. Kind of, sort of, mostly blamed Odin for that. After all, if we're rebuilding our relationship, can he do me a solid and let me wake up feeling nice once in my life? Odin got angry because he didn't like taking the blame for something that's a biological, circumstance of being alive. So, we were not getting along today. And then I told him what I really want out of life and what I really wanted. And it's the same list I've always had. And he looked at me like, the hell you say? I was like, oh shit. I already knew I was in trouble, but I have a tendency to say, you know what? The old man's already angry. Let's just go for it. And I keep digging. And suffice it to say, I got exhausted today because 2020 is like all the year caught up with me. So I kept taking like little micro naps and little micro naps. After one, I'm like, will this God who is going to give me these things please send me a sign? I swear on everything sacred. I go outside with the pizza box to throw it out. There's a little bunny. And I wouldn't have seen the little bunny, but it moved and went dee 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 dee. I'm like, bunny, yay. And I look up bunny significance. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is awesome. And I come back in and I'm so tired. And I kept trying to take a little micro nap and finally fall asleep, finally fall asleep, fall asleep, fall asleep, finally fall asleep. And, or I fall into like a meditation state, I wasn't sure which. And there are these two huge men with me. I'm in this room and there's this pale gray light. And there are these two men with me and they're huge. And the one, I can barely make them out. It's like so dark, I can barely make out any details. But the one is in a gray military uniform, and I can't see his face or anything, but I think he has gray hair, and he's the one I've called the general all my life. And to his left, if you're looking at them, is standing his brother, and I know they're brothers, and he's dressed all in black, in a black suit, and a black fedora tilted down so I can't see his face. And even the face I can see is just like a blank. It's like all jet black. And they're both staring at me. And I know they're brothers. And I know I belong to them. They are absolutely, without a doubt, my gods. and this is enough of this. And they didn't say a word, but I'm getting this is enough. You've really pushed it. You have pushed it to the edge. You are going to follow all the commands you got. How many damn times do you have to be told to stop, to sit down, and to negotiate? This is where you belong. Well, sit down. And I woke up and I'm like, and I was going to put it up and ask you guys who do you think the mystery gods are, and I'm like, we all damn well know who the mystery gods are because Loki or Odin would never let any other gods get away with that. So, it is kind of up to you and Loki. It is, and in a way, it isn't. There are people that have had success telling Odin no, and there are most people that end up with Odin just say, yeah, I fought him for years, and I finally said, you know what, I'm too tired, man, you win. So, and it's not a terrible thing. You have to look at it this way if it helps. Any god willing to fight you for years to work with you wants you. They want you. They want to take care of you. They want to work with you. They're not just fighting you to get a toy. When I finally agreed to be heathen, for example, Odin gave up, didn't want heathenry. It was like pushing me out the door, and I couldn't figure out what the hell happened. I kept running back because I'm like, International House of Awesome is fun when we have it, but same time, I feel like I really need to go back and work more with Odin and work more with Loki. I'm feeling this call, and I'm finally realizing who's been doing the calling. And I'm trying to get back in, and I'm, banging on the door last night after Odin said he was leaving, and I'm threatening the old man, metaphorically speaking, that I'm going to get the battering ram and ram the door open. We reunited, and then I got up in the morning and I was in a bad mood, and he's having none of it, and that's kind of how our relationship goes. So, I can't even tell you who I'm working with right now. I'm going to say Norse gods and Norse gods only, and that is up to them. If they will take care of me, which they have proven they will, um, when Odin wants to talk to you or Loki wants to talk to you, they'll get it to you. Usually through Pinterest for me, or videos, or turn on the radio. I was getting wolves everywhere last night on the radio, and I was getting things like, I will take care of you, but it was like, you have to stop now, stop now, stop. Odin doesn't say stop forever. He will make you stop. And you do not want Odin to stop you. If you think Loki is bad, Odin is worse. It will be like you ran into a brick wall, and then the damn wall fell on you, and then the earth collapsed and you fell 500 feet. So it's like, so Odin has scruffed his wolf. And his wolf is just hanging there limply, like, I didn't do anything. And Loki's very satisfied with himself. And they can be scary dudes. Loki terrifies a lot of people. I'm not saying this to scare you guys, but he does have aspects that are frightening. And the aspect that came to see me was Breaker of Worlds. And the aspect of the old man that came to see me, I dare not imagine, but I know it's one of the war aspects. It's one of the I've had enough of your shit aspects. And I was like, and just kind of hanging there. And I got this kind of download of information of all the temples belong to all the Norse gods. I'm like, you know what? Fine. That's why I kept renaming them loose names, except for Thorhaven's farm and stuff like that. I can go in and work on them at their pleasure, and I'm answering to the Norse gods now. They're not going to share. It's nothing I can give you advice on. I mean, it's not going to happen to every single person that works with Loki or the old man or anyone else is going to be destined to end up with the Norse gods. But I can tell you they're clannish. And I can tell you the pattern it followed with me was Loki, Thor, Odin, then Freyr and Freyr got interested. By the time Njord shows up, they've kind of claimed you. When more and more Norse gods keep showing up, when they keep getting interested and they keep getting your attention and they keep dragging you back home, they've claimed you. They'll let you run around sometimes and get the wild oats out of your system, and they'll let you see what it's like out there, if it's any better out there, because you're convinced you'll find a better deal out there. But then eventually one day they'll just grab you and yank you back home. And Odin's little wolf was just hanging there like, please don't kill me. Please. So it was just sit down, shut up. But it was in that, from whichever aspect of Odin it was. And I'm not even sure if this one is listed. It's like he looked at me one time because I was looking at one of the rather impressive lists of his names. And he goes, those are just the ones you have. He smiled at me. He says, I want you to think about that. I looked at Loki later. I said, he scares me. Loki goes, he should, he should. So, no, you don't have to work with both of them. I share the experiences I have with them because those are my true experiences. Some people, I had kicked people off the channel and say the Norse gods were always nice and pleasant with them, but they took to Norse gods like a duck to water. I'm resistant. I'm wild. I will lead the rebellion. I don't want to listen. I don't want to conform to standards. I don't want to do anything except for go around and do what I want to do. Working with the Norse gods definitely is a thing of having discipline and loyalty. And I can have discipline and I can certainly be loyal, but the rate at which I want compensated is usually more than the Norse gods are willing to do. They're not going to mistreat you or deprive you or, make you wear sackcloth and ashes. But they do get the idea that, you always see people that are making cottage industry out of other gods claim they will give you X, Y, and Z. And they're like, no. Like, there's this terrible bracelet Loki's poking me to warn you about. It's the Buddha bracelet. Have you seen this bullshit in a box yet? This woman, in one ad, this woman helps this homeless guy, and he tells her he used to be rich and he's being punished for his sins. Like, it's like karma. So they mix Christianity and Buddhism already. So this is already fucked. So I can woo. And her whole life was like going kind of shitty. She got a mysterious box on her porch and got a bracelet in it. I'm like, who the fuck opens a mysterious package on their porch? No. And she wears it and she gets this promotion. All this other horse shit happens in her life. She gets wildly successful, right? Well, she loses the fucking thing. What happens? She loses her job. Her whole life turns to shit. She's practically homeless. There's another version of this video where the husband is beating her and having an affair. I'm like, I hope there is a hell and there's a special level for you bitches because you deserve it because, domestic abuse is nothing to take advantage of. And I hope you ladies out there know that there is no magic bracelet out there. Get the hell away from that man. I'm getting damn straight. And I just got so enraged. And Odin said, don't you realize some people really don't care about other people? And just to make a quick buck, they'll tell them that this magic bracelet is going to save them from abuse or going to save them from this or going to save them from that. I said, if I could kill these people, I would. And he's like, I know, you're one of mine. So, that should be a Tiersman trait, but Odin's people go off too. We hate injustice. We really do. And I realize I'm one of Odin's. I'm equally one of Loki's. They decided they would share, and they usually don't share too well. But in my case, I guess they figured two of them watching me is better than none at all. And, we do still have a lot of issues to work with. I'm always going to have a jealous streak a mile wide. I know that every time I find a Loki or Odin article. I'm always going to have a faith issue, and they know that. And they know they don't give at exactly the rate that makes me comfortable, but they always do. They always do give. So we have a lot of behind the scenes work to do together as a family is what we do. But again, you might not end up with all the Norse gods. I don't tell you these stories to horrify you and make you run away from Loki, but you should realize it is a possibility. It's like if a lot of people start working with the Baron Samedi and they get, looped into Voodoo for a couple years and they're happy and yet they're not because they don't think they belong there and they're being kept there. You sometimes have to watch out because sometimes they kind of send the courier out to get you and it can be a different one, for each person. Maybe Thor got you, maybe Odin got you, maybe Freya got you, Njord, anyone. And sometimes the family decides they like you and they're going to drag you in. Sometimes the family won't take no for an answer. Norse gods will not take no for an answer with me. For some people, they don't care. You could walk off and, they'll never bother you. But, don't be afraid of it. If you're destined to end up with the Norse gods, it's not bad. They're not the worst family in the world to end up with. They're definitely determined and they're definitely put up a hell of a fight to stay by your side. And they will scare you if they have to. But, they are good gods. They are loving gods. Njord's the one that takes me out in the sea when I'm absolutely blowing my stack and I can't even think straight because I do have anger management issues. And, Freyr and Freyr are the ones that work me through things. And Thor, they are a loving family to work with. And I do work with them a lot. I think 75% of the problem has been I haven't been appreciating how much the Norse gods do actually do around here. So, they understand I feel loyal and they understand I think that if I've done one thing with a god ever, I have to stay with them forever. And they're like, no, the family wants you home. You are home now. They don't really care. Well, Odin cares a lot, actually, if I use the word heathen or not, but it is what it is. But no, again, guys, I know I'm going on forever, but you don't have to be afraid. You know that if you work with Loki, you're going to work with all of them. For one, they're worthy gods. If you're going to work with all of them, it's going to be a blessing in your life. And for two, they are strong gods. They're the strongest pantheon I've ever worked with me. They are the most consistent. They are the most push through and get their way. They are determination. But they're loving and kind. And once you're home, they're very gentle and they're very sweet and they're very kind. If you're the one that's going to declare war on them and say you're not going to go when they're all calling you, and then they're difficult to deal with. But the moment you go, okay, I'm coming home, they're fine. They treat you really well, and they're all really sorry. But you were being very naughty, and you would not come home. They will talk to you like that too. So it's okay. You're not going to. You're not just because you work with Loki or the old man or Thor or anyone else. You're not destined to end up with the Norse gods. I think this has always kind of sort of been my destiny because I've always had these two men show up in my dreams, and I'm starting to think I damn well know who the general's always been. I damn well know who the other guy's always been. So it's like I've been with them all my life. And it amused them to let me go off in all these other crazy directions to learn all this stuff and do all this stuff and satisfy my curiosity. But they're like, good, you've satisfied your curiosity, now come home. You have seen this isn't going to work, come home. Now. So I'm okay with it. I actually am. As long as we're going to get along, it's actually going to be relaxing because I've actually realized more and more in 2020. I want to have a stable home. I want to have just one pantheon, because just Norse gods alone, there's this number you can't use because they'll think it's a hate number. It's 80 something. It's the number of people I guess think they're of gods. There are countless Norse gods. We have just lost most of them. Um, like one god will have 9 daughters or 9 mothers or something like this. There are countless Norse gods, and that's just the gods. When you start adding in your ancestors and the land spirits and everything else, there are more gods in everything else than there are stars in the sky or waves in the ocean or grains of sand. So, you know, but I hope that answers the question, and I'm good. I actually appreciated it. There's something in me that appreciated being yelled at and told to stay and to settle down and to stop. Odin has been trying to tell me in very exasperated tones that this thing I've been worried about this year, to stop, to stay still. He'll let me know when it's time to get to it, and it's not time yet. So, if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye bye.